Hi friends, I'm Miss Angie from Ottervine and I'm going to do our devotion for this week. And I'm going to be talking to you today about how God is with us when we're afraid. In the Bible, there is a story in Mark that talks about a time when even Jesus' close friends were afraid. One day, Jesus' disciples were going across the lake in a boat. Jesus did not go with them because he was spending time praying to God. Late that night, the disciples were in the boat in the middle of the lake. They were in serious trouble. They were rowing hard and struggling against the wind and the high waves. Even though these men were used to being in boats, they may have been afraid of the waves and the wind. The boat was probably rocking violently, and the disciples may have even worried about falling out. But here comes the amazing part. Right in the middle of the night, they saw someone coming toward them, walking on the water. Now it was nighttime and it was dark, and I'm sure they were very scared. They thought it was a ghost. But the person wasn't a ghost, it was Jesus. He is so powerful that he could walk on water. Then Jesus said to the disciples, "Do not be afraid. Take courage. I am here." Then Jesus climbed into the boat and the wind stopped. Jesus is more powerful than the wind. While the Bible doesn't specifically tell us, we can imagine that the disciples probably felt afraid of the big storm in the middle of the night. But Jesus calmed their fears. The disciples learned that Jesus was more powerful than anything that was causing them fear. Even when we're afraid of big things like COVID-19, Jesus can help calm our fears. He is in control and he is always with us. In the Bible, it says in John 14:27, "I leave my peace with you. I give my peace to you. I do not give it to you as the world does. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid." This verse is a message from Jesus telling the disciples and us that we do not have to be afraid. We can trust his peace to help us in our times of fear. So you may think, why do scary things have to happen? Why does Jesus allow scary things to happen in the first place? Well, the Bible tells us that when God first created the world, everything was perfect. There was no disease or COVID-19 or other bad things happening. But when sin entered the world through Adam and Eve, everything changed. Now sickness and such are part of our world. And in times like this, when we hear every day about this COVID-19 going all over the world, it seems like it is in control of our world and other bad stuff is in control of our world. But the Bible tells us that in this world, Jesus said, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." And the Bible also says God lives forever. You can run to him for safety. His powerful arms are always there to carry you. Even when it feels like bad things are in control, we can trust that Jesus is more powerful. Just like in the story, he has overcome the world. Now, the Bible tells us that Jesus is with us when we're afraid. So what are some ways we can feel his presence with us when we're worried about things like maybe COVID-19 or other things? Verses we have memorized, like the verses we just were reading. If we have them memorized, they come into our minds and give us comfort. Also, other people surround us with love and care, like our moms and dads and grandparents, and we know that God is using them to help us. And sometimes when we are quiet, we can hear Jesus' words in our hearts. Or a pastor's sermon might contain exactly the words we need to hear. Or maybe God will use a Bible lesson to help calm our fears. In our Bible story, Jesus calmed the wind that was like a storm. Sometimes the hard things in our life can feel like storms. They make us afraid of what will happen next. Storms can be things in our lives that scare us, like this COVID-19. When we go through these storms, Jesus will be with us. He told the disciples, "Do not be afraid. Take courage. I am here." We can trust that he will be with us and help us to have courage too. Okay, and I also have a story I would like to read to you all. It's called "It Will Be Okay," and it's by Lisa Turkhurst. And it's a story about little seed and little fox. And it's about trusting God through fear and change. In a dusty shed on a rickety shelf, hidden in a cozy packet, lived a tiny, tiny seed. Day after day, little seed watched as the farmer came into the shed. The farmer's strong hand would reach into the packet and he would say, "I have a good plan for you," each time he selected a seed. Little seed knew the farmer was good and kind, but he did not want to leave his home. Little seed liked living inside the cozy packet on the rickety shelf in the farmer's dusty shed. He did not want to go. In the nearby woods, under the big tall trees, in a comfy den lived a playful fox. Little Fox raced around the tree trunks in the woods. "Yippee!" he shouted with glee. But then a long black shadow scared him, and he hurried to hide in his den. He was scared of the dark shadows, and howling winds, and the rain, and most everything. Little Fox liked his comfy den under the big tall trees in the nearby woods. He did not like being afraid. One particularly dark night, a storm rumbled into the forest. Thunder boomed, lightning flashed, rain poured into Little Fox's den. "Oh no!" Little Fox cried as he scurried through the woods, trying to find somewhere safe and dry and not scary. He barreled inside the farmer's dusty shed, bumped into the rickety shelf, and knocked over the cozy seed packet. Little seed rolled out onto the floor. A surprised Little Fox found himself standing nose to nose with a very unhappy little seed. "I am Little Fox, and I live in the den under the big tall trees in the nearby woods," he explained. "I love to play in the woods, but I'm afraid of dark shadows and howling winds," he said. "There are no winds or shadows in your shed. Can I live here with you? Will you be my friend?" Little Seed said, "Do you see a pillow? Do you see a bed? Do you see a place to lay your wet head? No, you don't, because this safe place is the farmer's shed." But then Little Seed thought of how safe and how warm it was inside the cozy packet on the rickety shelf in the farmer's dusty shed. He thought it might be quite nice to have a friend. Little Fox and Little Seed became the best of friends. Little Seed told silly stories and Little Fox made funny faces. Each day when the farmer came to the shed, Little Fox hid away. But the farmer was good, and the farmer was kind, and the farmer was always watching over them, even when they didn't know it. One morning, the farmer came into the shed, as he had on many days. "Little Seed," he said as he placed him in his hand, "I have a wonderful plan for you. I have waited just the right time, and today is the day. Oh no, please no, I don't want to go, thought Little Seed. The farmer went outside and knelt down. He pushed Little Seed under the ground and into the dirt and down to a deep, dark, messy place. Now, Little Seed, this is going to be different, and it might seem scary, but it will be okay. You can trust me, said the farmer. Little Seed wished he were inside the cozy packet on the rickety shelf in the farmer's dusty shed. I want to trust even when I can't see, but how in the world is this good for me? Little Seed, come back, cried Little Fox when he saw the farmer take his friend away. Where are you, Little Seed? He looked in the front of the shed and behind the shed, but Little Seed was not there. He looked on top of the tractor and under the tractor. Little Seed was not there either. He looked under the duck's wings and inside the dog's floppy ears. He looked in the horse's stall, the pig's pen, and even in the farmer's boot, but Little Seed could not be found anywhere. Now Little Fox was really worried. Little Seed, he shouted. I'm here, way down in the dirt. I'm scared and I'm lonely, but I'm not hurt, came Little Seed's muffled voice right below him. Little Fox thought hard for something to say or something to do that would help his friend not be scared, but he was afraid to. It's different and scary to be someplace new, but it will be okay, Little Seed. Little Seed was not so sure, and neither was Little Fox. But the farmer was good, and the farmer was kind, and the farmer was always watching over them, even when they didn't know it. Little Fox stayed by Little Seed night after night and day after day. He was scared and lonely too. But after a while, Little Fox started to see how the farmer took care of them. Fresh water for Little Seed, sweet berries for Little Fox. He wasn't even quite so afraid when he saw the dark shadows or heard the howling wind. Little Fox was starting to believe that the farmer was good and the farmer was kind. My friend, whispered a sleepy Little Fox to Little Seed, go to sleep. It will be okay. Little Seed sat in that dark and messy place for what seemed like a very long time. But one spring morning, Little Seed felt a mysterious stirring. He looked down and discovered he was no longer a little seed. He was becoming something brand new, something wonderful. He pushed up through the dark, out of the dirt, and right through the ground. And there, looking sleepy-eyed and surprised, was his friend Little Fox. Little Fox looked down and saw a beautiful green sprout. My friend, they each exclaimed with glee. They were once again nose to nose, and Little Seed told silly stories, and Little Fox made funny faces. After many days of fun, Little Seed said, Little Fox, look up and see. It's hard to believe what's become of me. From the messy, dark place I grew and grew, from a seed to a tree, only the farmer knew. Together they made it through the dark and scary time, and together they each learned that the farmer was good, and the farmer was kind, and the farmer was always watching over them, even in the dark, messy places. Little Seed was never supposed to be just a seed in a seed packet, and Little Fox was not supposed to be alone and afraid. The seasons came and the seasons went. Little Seed grew into a big, strong tree, and Little Fox raced around his tree trunk. And sometimes Little Fox lay in the tall, cool grass near Little Seed. And the breeze tickled his nose, and the sun warmed his belly. And the good and kind farmer was always watching over them. Little Seed liked things to stay the way they were. Little Fox was sometimes afraid, but just as they learned to trust the farmer, we can learn to trust God. We do not need to fear. He has a wonderful plan. God loves you, and He is kind. And in the end, it will really be okay. Friends, I am so happy I got to have this opportunity to share a devotion with you. I pray that you're all doing well and enjoying spending this extra time with your families, and I hope you're having some fun times. And I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.